Live from Belfast, hello, I'm Declan Harvey. The headlines in Northern Ireland this evening. A report finds that under-resourcing hampered the police investigation into a prolific online sex abuser.
Could we have done better? Yes, we could. And we certainly have a learning to take from this case. So I welcome the Ombudsman's investigation.
Education Minister Paul Givan survives a vote of no confidence after it fails to secure cross-community support.
The BBC's Director General and its CEO of News have both resigned over what's described as an error of judgment. Do people here still trust the corporation? We'll ask.
But it doesn't look good. I must say it shook my faith a wee bit.
It has been damaging, but I do think that it's still an impartial, mostly.
Police investigate reports that a child was assaulted at a GAA youth match in Stormont. After a racist attack destroyed his workplace, a new start for this Belfast businessman.
Rory McIlroy has his eyes on another trophy this week to end what's already been a remarkable year. We'll hear from him and I'll bring you the rest of the weekend sport.
And we've had some beautiful, bright, sunny spells through today, but it is all change in our weather for tomorrow. I will have all the details coming up just before 7.
Welcome to BBC Newsline on this Monday, the 10th of November. The scale of abuse carried out online by Newry man Alexander McCartney against thousands of children worldwide is still shocking. But how he managed to carry on for so long goes to the heart of questions asked of our police. Today, a report has found the PSNI's ability to keep children safe online has been compromised by a lack of resources, including officers. For example, at one point, a specialist police unit investigating these kind of crimes had only 5 officers when it should have had 14. McCartney was given a life sentence last year for crimes which include the manslaughter of a 12-year-old girl. Here's our crime and justice correspondent, Julian O'Neill.
27-year-old Alexander McCartney was jailed after he blackmailed young girls into sexual activity online, which he photographed and filmed. But much of his offending happened while he was on police bail, following his initial arrest in 2016.
Bail conditions were imposed on Alexander McCartney, which were wholly ineffective and were not properly managed. They did not limit his access to online material or, in fact, engaging with young people. So these bail conditions did not prevent him reoffending over the period of the investigation.
The Ombudsman said teams tasked with investigating online child sex abuse were under-resourced and under pressure. There was a 2-year gap between McCartney's first arrest and him being interviewed about 1,100 indecent images found on his phone and computers. The hardware had been stuck in a long queue of 1,000 computers awaiting analysis behind terrorism and other serious crime cases.
Could we have done better? Yes, we could. And we certainly have a learning to take from this case. So I welcome the Ombudsman's investigation. But again, I would say that this has highlighted to us the need for proper resourcing and proper commitment in terms of the funding for the PSNI moving forward.
The Ombudsman investigation identified no misconduct by any individual officer. During investigative delays and ineffective bail arrangements, McCartney preyed on Simran Thomas and others. The 12-year-old killed herself in West Virginia as a result of his abuse, for which he is now behind bars until at least 2039. Julian O'Neill, BBC Newsline, Belfast.
The Education Minister has survived a vote of no confidence by MLAs because it didn't have cross-community backing. Paul Givan has come in for criticism from some over his recent trip to Israel, funded by the Israeli government. The motion at Stormont today was brought by the People Before Profit Party and had backing from Sinn Féin, Alliance and the SDLP, who all called for Mr Givan to resign. But unionist parties branded the vote a hypocritical stunt. Here's our political correspondent, Jane McCormack.
These protesters didn't need a crystal ball to know how their campaign would end, a point put to the politician leading the push against the Education Minister.
In any other island, any other jurisdiction, the Minister would go, he would be toast, but obviously due to the nature of the cross-community vote in Stormont, he'll be protected today.
The motion MLAs were being asked to back said,
further to his recent visit to Israel, the Minister of Education no longer enjoys the confidence of the Assembly.
And in expectation of what was to come in the second episode of this drama came an appeal for
good temper, moderation, courtesy and respect. Robust arguments can be made on the issues in a respectful way without being disorderly.
Judge for yourself if MLAs heard said plea.
Had he not been so offensive and so arrogant, this might have blown over. The Minister has levelled the charge of anti-Semitism against me, in particular, and other members of this chamber who have asked questions.
Comrade Carroll. Oh no, the conductor-in-chief. He has the SDLP, the Alliance and Sinn Féin all doing the cha-cha slide to a leftist agenda.
Others accused Paul Givan of sliding to his own agenda.
The arrogance you've shown in your defence of your actions since your return confirms your premeditation. Not 1 ounce of humility, compassion or regret for the people of Gaza or the anger that you have provoked.
Today your party will protect you from your deserved fate, even though the majority in this chamber have lost confidence in you. You will no doubt feel vindicated. You're already crowing with a panto-villain smile.
Minister.
Villain or not of this latest Stormont show, Paul Givan relished his moment to reply.
This debate has exposed the ugly face of pan-nationalism and its fellow travellers. When the votes are cast, I'm confident that the attempt to drive me from office will have failed.
And spoiler alert, it would fail, but not without an unexpected plotline from the public gallery. Those shouts resulting in the removal of this pro-Palestinian protester from the building.
I'd say anyone who just hates to see what Israel is doing at the minute is on the side of the children in Palestine. It's not a green and orange issue, it's a humanitarian issue.
He's not going to go anywhere there. Do you think he should resign?
Of course he should resign, but he has no shame, he doesn't care.
Paul Givan's job was never at risk, but in a place where political stability matters, days like today put relations at risk. Jane McCormack, BBC Newsline, Stormont.
And our political editor, Enda McClafferty, joins us now live from Stormont. We saw, I think, what would be fairly described as spiky exchanges earlier, Enda. How do things stand this evening, in your view?
Well, I think it's safe to say, Declan, that relationships have been badly bruised after today, but not broken. And that is, of course, what really matters. I think where else but Stormont could you get one government party accusing another government party of being a genocide denier, safe in the knowledge it wasn't going to trigger a crisis and it wasn't going to bring the house down. I think what we got today was another opportunity for the political parties here at Stormont to put their pro-Palestinian and pro-Israeli sentiments on public show once more. And I think it's also fair to say, Declan, that what this has done perhaps is chip away more at the public confidence in our local politicians at being able to deliver, because in truth what they will be judged on is not what they say in the chamber in the heat of a battle, but what they do or don't do when they sit around the executive table by way of actions.
Yeah, also today where you are, the DUP under fire over its decision not to attend the inauguration of the Irish President, Catherine Connolly, tomorrow.
That's right. The Deputy First Minister, Emma Little-Pengelly, was invited to go along with First Minister Michelle O'Neill to the inauguration in Dublin Castle tomorrow, but she issued a statement over the weekend saying that it clashed, of course, with Remembrance Day tomorrow, where she's due to attend a number of events both here at Stormont and also at Windsor Castle. But that didn't stop the DUP's political opponents asking questions as to why nobody else from the party was going along to Dublin Castle tomorrow, mindful of the fact that Peter Robinson attended the presidential inauguration in 2011, also on Remembrance Day. Well, the DUP leader Gavin Robinson today hit back at some of his critics.
It's not a snub. I was personally invited by the Taoiseach of Ireland. I received the invitation on Thursday last week. I personally responded to him on Friday to indicate that whilst I recognise the significance of this event for his nation, I trust that he in turn recognises the significance of the 11th hour, of the 11th day, of the 11th month. And that's just how it is, and I think he has accepted that.
Now, we also learned today that Emma Little-Pengelly has tried to contact Catherine Connolly by phone just to pass on her congratulations. Now, the DUP will not be there tomorrow, but Unionists will be represented, and that's because Steve Aiken from the Ulster Unionist Party will be there, deputising for his party leader, Mike Nesbitt.
Enda, thanks very much. The latest controversies to hit the BBC have put extra heat into a debate over the role and the future of the corporation. Yesterday, the Director General and Chief Executive of News resigned over what the BBC now admits were errors of judgment in the editing of a Panorama programme about Donald Trump. This afternoon, the US President sent a letter to the BBC threatening to sue it for $1 billion. Our reporter Claire Graham has been asking what it's done for confidence in the BBC.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
This was the Panorama clip.
And we fight. We fight like hell.
The two sections of the speech, edited together, were filmed more than 50 minutes apart. The BBC chair has apologised for an error of judgment in how the footage of the US President Donald Trump was edited. And Tim Davie, the Director General, and CEO of News, Deborah Turness, have gone.
But it doesn't look good. I must say, it shook my faith a wee bit.
It has been damaging, but I do think that it's still an impartial, mostly. But I don't think a lot of people would agree with me.
Were you surprised when the BBC was being called out on impartiality?
Not really, no.
Student journalists in Belfast take it all in.
It's a seismic time for the BBC. Tim Davie had a lot of controversy. You know, he's had to fend off a lot of controversies now in the past. And this is one controversy too many.
Yeah, I definitely think that a lot of younger people will not be trusting the BBC and looking for their news elsewhere, especially when it comes to likes of like TV licenses. I think a lot of young people do not want to pay one, and this is just like another nail in the coffin, really.
I 100% believe that the BBC is a force for good. I just think that when they make mistakes like this, they completely destroy the trust that they work so hard to build up that 99% the rest of the time.
The BBC chair insists there is no systematic bias at the BBC.
I think he was right to go, because I think what this whole episode has proved is that the BBC really needs to take a very good look at itself and its processes, and it probably needs somebody new to do that.
I think the problem with the BBC is that it lurches from one crisis to another. This isn't going to help. But I think if you look at all the surveys that have been done, people still trust the BBC. They make mistakes. They need to be faster at admitting when they do make mistakes.
It will be the BBC board who decides the next Director General, and they'll become the 18th in the organisation's 103-year-old history. They'll take up the top job at a time of intense debate and criticism. Claire Graham, BBC Newsline, Belfast.
Well, the story continues to develop this evening. There's also a background to what has happened and the claims being faced by the BBC. It's all on our website for you. You can also, of course, find it on the BBC News app. Police are investigating reports of 2 alleged assaults, including one on a child, at a GAA underage match in Strabane at the weekend. A local councillor has warned of the dangers of one-punch attacks, which he says can have devastating consequences. Here's our Northwest reporter, Kieran Tourish.
The police say they received reports of 2 assaults at the Sigerson's GAA club grounds on Saturday afternoon. 2 other clubs from outside Strabane, Ernie St Columbus from Clady and Gorchin St Patrick's, were using the pitch for an underage game. The PSNI say they're investigating an assault on a child and another man.
Today we see a young person that was in hospital, had received treatment from a one punch. It can be devastating. It can result in life-threatening possibilities.
Tyrone GAA said it was aware of an incident which occurred at one of our underage football matches and said it will be carrying out an investigation. It said it took the incident most seriously and is working closely with the clubs concerned. The police have appealed to anyone who may have been at the match and witnessed the assaults to come forward. They also want anyone who may have video footage not to share it online, but to report it to detectives who are investigating the assaults. Kieran Turish, BBC Newsline, Strabane.
Just over a year ago, race riots and arson attacks left businesses damaged on the Donegal Road in Belfast. And it led shop owner Jamal Gabes to consider leaving Belfast completely, but instead he has relocated. Born in Syria and granted asylum here, Jamal moved his butchery business from south to west Belfast. He's been speaking to our community correspondent Mark Simpson.
What a difference a year makes for Jamal Gabes. He's got his business back. Last year, his career seemed to be in ruins, and he felt hopeless.
I don't feel safe here. My job finished.
That was then, this is now. With a little help from his friends and a new business partner, Jamal has moved to West Belfast on the Andersonstown Road and helped to open up a new supermarket.
It's way better now. I love Andy Town.
Are you happy here?
I'm happy. I'm happy actually here. Yeah, I'm better. I'm better now.
Much better.
Yeah, it's much better. Yeah.
Jamal's business partner says since he arrived from Syria, he's been determined to make a living here.
The vast majority of asylum seekers and refugees, they want to work for themselves. They don't want, a state to provide for them. And Jamal is, an example. Even after racist incidents and his shop was burned down, he stood up again and started a new business.
This isn't Jamal's boss. It's one of his childhood friends from Syria. They lost contact, but then bumped into each other recently in the middle of Belfast.
It's like a miracle, meeting like a really old best friend of yours in a new country, like how small the world is.
Gary now lives in Londonderry, and he has settled in well.
I consider Derry is home now. Even some of my mates from Derry, they would be like, you sound more Derry than me, lad. I was like, I love it. And I caught the accent so quick because I love it. I love Derry. That's it, like.
Old friends in a new country, now with something to smile about. Mark Simpson, BBC Newsline in West Belfast.
Now, I have no doubt many of you watching this evening will remember the explosive fallout between Roy Keane and Mick McCarthy during Ireland's 2002 World Cup preparations in Saipan, a remote island in the Pacific. Roy Keane was team captain but walked away from the tournament, criticising poor facilities, team mismanagement and missing equipment. Now, though, more than 20 years on, it's all been made into a film called Saipan. Mick McCarthy is played by Steve Coogan, whilst Cork native Ina Hardwick stars as Roy Keane. Ina's been here for a special screening at Belfast Film Festival, and Bernie Allen caught up with him.
The training pitch is a disgrace. And somebody's got to hold a hand up and say, it's like training on a car park.
It was one of the most notorious rows in Irish sport.
I can't, will not tolerate well, not being spoken to, but the level of abuse that was thrown at me.
Back in 2002, the Boys in Green World Cup preparations were rocked by Roy Keane's infamous disagreement with team manager Mick McCarthy.
Clear conscience. And I'm happy to be going home.
And the actor that plays Roy in the new film says he's on the fence about who was right or wrong.
I think both men were right. I think Roy's commitment to excellence and his dedication and his absolute rigour is inspiring, and at the same time, like Mick's management style, from what I gather, from what I see, is incredibly. He cares about the players. He cares about the people he's working with.
Hardwick says sport is often a great metaphor, and the film is a marker for where Ireland stood internationally at the time.
This debate over where do we see ourselves? Do we see ourselves as just there to kind of take part and give people something to cheer about, or do we want to be contenders at the highest level? I think that was probably true in lots of other forms of Irish life at the time.
Those involved in the production say now is the right time to make the film. And almost 2 decades later, the Saipan incident remains an unresolved dispute for many, illustrating the public's continued fascination with the story. Bernie Allen, BBC Newsline.
And we're going to turn to sport, but before we get into Rory McIlroy, Stephen, you were in Saipan, you're in the film.
23 years ago, very happy memories of that interview at the airport. And
that was a world exclusive at the time, wasn't it?
And I was very privileged to be asked to do some voiceovers for that movie. I haven't seen it all yet, but I can't wait to see it.
Terrific.
I can't wait. I think of the credits, it said voiceovers by Stephen Watson. Bye, Stephen Watson. I'm in a movie.
It's all about the credit. Let's talk Rory McIlroy, will we?
Yes, thank you, Declan. Rory McIlroy trying to finish the season, eyeing more silverware after what's been a remarkable year. He's trying to win a 7th Tour Championship this week. That's the prize as top player over the season on the DP World Tour. He finished at the HSBC Championship in Abu Dhabi yesterday with a stunning round of 10 under par, his lowest score on the Tour this season. That meant Rory finished tied in 3rd place, but also remains in a very healthy lead in the race to Dubai with this week's finale, which starts on Thursday.
I started the back 9 with, I think, 5 birdies in a row, drove it onto the 10th green again, and I hit a couple of really good wedges in that stretch and knocked them in. So yeah, once I was 9 under through 14, I thought, okay, if I could post a number here.
Perfection.
I knew on 18, at least post, and the one thing I said to Harry walking off the green is, well, at least we're going to make them earn it no matter what happens. So and obviously ended up one short, but great day of golf, and a great way to end the week, and also a great way to sort of go into next week into Dubai as well.
Now, Mac Hansen's been recalled after injury to the Ireland rugby squad for the side's remaining autumn tests, but Jamie Osborne will miss the Australia and South Africa games with a shoulder injury. Ulster's Stuart McCluskey is expected to take a full part in training this week. Ireland beat Japan by 41 points to 10 at the weekend, with Ulster's Nick Timoney scoring 1 of 6 tries. He was pleased with his contribution in a somewhat patchy team performance.
Probably elements of the first half that didn't go 100% to plan, but I think our ability to maintain composure and finish the game out quite strongly was pleasing, and I certainly I enjoyed myself. Felt lucky to be back in a green jersey and honoured, so I was determined to enjoy it as best I could, and I felt like I went fairly well.
Nick Timoney, foot to the floor. He just loves to score in green.
There's still people out there. It's not like we're in any position where we're struggling to find someone to step in. There's people putting their hands up all over the place, so it's good.
Now, 4 teams have a chance of winning this year's Ulster Club Gaelic Football Championship. Kilcoo, Scotstoun, Newbridge and Erne Gales are all into the semi-finals. Thomas Niblock rounds up the weekend action.
Scotstoun have a rich history in the Ulster Club competition, past winners and hungry for more. They even have a corner back, Dara Murray, who scored not 1 but 2 goals against Niamh Connell on Sunday. They're now into the last 4.
What a day for Dara Murray!
Where they will play Newbridge. The Derry champions reached an Ulster final once. That was way back in 1970. They're now just 1 game away after defeating Armagh champions Madden. 5 points from Oisín Doherty and 4 from captain Conor McAteer paved the way to an impressive 6-point win. Next up, it's Scotstoun.
Look, yeah, them boys are littered with county players, and each lane have a few, and then underage as well. So, look, it's going to be a complete different test, but look, we'll relish it, and look, we have plenty of really, really big, heavy hitters in Derry too, like Slane, Glen, Marfelt. They're no small fish either. So, look, we'll go into the game with plenty of confidence, but we do appreciate that Scotstoun are a serious team, and we look forward to it.
Also into the semi-final are Erne Gales. It finished level between them and Cavan winners Kings Court at full time. In extra time, the Fermanagh champions, with the help of Shane Rooney, powered on and won by 5. Finally, the Lochbacrory fairy tale came to an end against perhaps the most consistent team in Ulster at the moment. The Tyrone champions were playing in the Ulster Club for the very first time, but former winners Kilcoo were just too strong, winning in the end by 5 points, and now just 1 game away from yet another Ulster final. Thomas Niblock, BBC Newsline.
Now, it's an important week of international football. Northern Ireland have 2 key World Cup qualifiers, away to Slovakia and home to Luxembourg. Both of those games are live on the BBC. And Daniel Ballard will join up with Michael O'Neill's squad in fine form. And locally in the Irish Premiership, Coleraine came from behind to draw 1-1 with Linfield. The reigning champions led early in the second half at Windsor Park through a Matthew Fitzpatrick goal. But Coleraine snatched a point in injury time through Matthew Shevlin, and they're now 4 points clear at the top of the table. And finally, the Belfast Giants are through to the semi-finals of Ice Hockey's Challenge Cup. They're the current holders of the trophy, and they beat the Dundee Stars 5-3 last night to reach the final 4. That's the sport. Back with more tomorrow, Declan.
Stephen, thank you very much for that. Season of Mist in Victoria Park in Belfast. What's up your sleeve for the week ahead, Jeff?
Not too bad. Today, it was we saw some bright spells as we went through this afternoon. The sun breaking through, very pleasant indeed. Unfortunately, it is not going to be like that tomorrow. Overnight tonight, we start off with those clear skies, temperatures dropping down close to freezing, lows of 2 to 5 Celsius. But overnight, we'll see the clouds starting to thicken up, the breeze freshens, and then the rain moves in. Now, that will lift the temperatures, but it is also going to be pretty soggy, and it sets the tone for tomorrow. From 6 o'clock, we have a yellow severe weather warning in place across most of Northern Ireland, and most places are going to see 20 to 30 millimetres of rain with the potential for some locally heavier downpours. This then is what you will be waking up to tomorrow morning. It is wet, it is windy, particularly along Irish Sea coasts, where we will see gusts of 40-45 miles an hour. Now, the rain will come and go through the day. It's quite a mild direction it's coming from, so top temperatures of 13 or 14 degrees, but really wet and windy. Come the evening time, it lifts out of the way, and we've got clear skies for tomorrow night. But because we're starting from that higher base, temperatures tomorrow night will not be nearly as chilly as they will be in the night to come. Overnight lows of 7 to 9 Celsius. Now, as we go into Wednesday, there is rain forecast to the north of us. There is rain forecast to the south of us. But currently, it looks as if through the daytime period, Northern Ireland will be in a slot of dry weather. You can see that wake front to the north of us. Another one will creep up into the southeast later on. Top temperatures for Wednesday, around 12-13 degrees. But overnight, that rain will move north. On Thursday, it will be stalled pretty much above us throughout the day. It will die out in place, the showers fizzling away, and we'll start to see more of the influence of this cooler northerly breeze. Now, we haven't seen that for well over a week. We've had southerlies for well over a week. So the impact is to drop the daytime temperatures as we go through this week. Cooler days and some noticeably cooler nights, Declan.
OK, Jeff, thank you. Follow that weather situation on the BBC Weather app. We'll also keep you right every hour on BBC Radio Ulster. Your next TV news here at 10:35 tonight. But for now, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.